If you're a woman over the age of 40, your doctor has certainly told you that you absolutely must have a mammogram. But are they accurately and fairly representing to you the associated risks and the possible alternative approaches to this? You don't want to miss this, and in 10 seconds, I'm going to tell you all about it. Hi, I'm Sage. It's great to be here with you. I'm here to be your source of cutting-edge wellness information to help you find answers and become happier and healthier. Please support us by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. It only takes a second, and it does so much to support our tiny family business. As you may know, I'm deeply passionate about helping you, not just with educational information, but also by offering some amazing products that I developed for our company. You can find a link in the description to the world's healthiest gourmet chocolates, delicious elixir blends, and the purest and most potent adaptogens, including turkey tail mushroom. Now let's take a look at mammograms and see what they have to offer, what their downsides are, and we're also going to look at 7 other alternative approaches to this that are worth your consideration and talking with your doctor about. Now first, let me say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an oncologist, I'm not a radiologist. I'm just someone who happens to have some information that I'm sharing with you as pure education. And this is not for you to make a decision purely based off of this. This is to open up further conversations between you and your doctor so you can figure out what the best approach is going to be for you. So a mammogram is effectively an x-ray of the breast, and this is generally quite effective and can detect cancer very early on, but it does miss about 1 in 5 cancers. So this is nowhere near 100%. You also get a lot of false positives that can lead to some horrible fear and unnecessary further tests. You know, I've known many women who had some form of a scan, in some cases an ultrasound, in some cases a mammogram, had it on a Friday, got a call that there's something of concern there, and could not find out until the next week that everything was actually totally okay. And to me, that is so wrong to leave a woman hanging like that over the weekend. That is just cruel and unnecessary. It's also important to note that between 1 in 2 to 1 in 3 women have dense breast tissue, and mammograms don't work well on dense breast tissue. So first question with your doctor is, do I have dense breasts? And then if you do, you got to figure out probably some other form of a solution here for diagnostics. And then of course, the big concern that people talk about all the time is the radiation exposure. Now, the risk of harm from a single mammogram is of course extremely low, but if you're doing this again and again and again and again, it's possible certainly that this repeated radiation could cause harm over time. And this is actually shown to be the most harmful for women under 40. It's not as dangerous if you're over 40, but still the risk is certainly not going to be 0. So that's mammograms. They have their upsides, they have their downsides. Now let's take a look at some of the other alternatives here. The next option would be digital breast tomosynthesis, or 3D mammography. And this is actually shown promise to be more effective at detecting cancer and could be covered by some insurances. It gives off the same amount of radiation per image, but because more pictures and testing time are involved, it means you're actually in total getting about 2 times the radiation that you would get from a normal mammogram. The next option would be an MRI. This uses magnets, of course, to create the images instead of radiation, and this is thought to be best for women who have the BRCA gene and those with a family history of breast cancer. And this is actually quite accurate, but it's criticized for not being specific enough. And results generally need a follow-up to get more specific for that reason, in terms of more imaging or perhaps a biopsy in some cases. And it does have a higher frequency of false positives and can be very expensive. It's not necessarily always going to be covered by insurance, and usually not completely covered by insurance. And anyone who's dealt with MRIs before knows those things can get pretty crazy expensive if you're not totally taken care of. Now these next 2 to me are the most interesting, ultrasound and thermography. Ultrasound, this is where you use high frequency sound waves instead of radiation. And a 2015 study actually found that mammogram and ultrasound detected breast cancer at the same rate. And this alone currently is not accepted as a screening tool. And it does show more false positives than a mammogram, so you can have some unfortunate scares there. So you often would do this and then perhaps follow up with a mammogram if needed. The technician here needs to be extremely skilled, although there is now a version of this called ABIS, which is automated. And this can be a very good choice for women with dense breasts. Problem is, it's not going to be covered by insurance, so it can get kind of expensive. Then the next one is thermography. This uses thermal imaging to take photos of the breasts, and malignancies in the breasts are generally going to be warmer than normal tissue due to the production of nitric oxide, which produces vasodilation first and then promotes blood vessel growth. And so this is leading to increased blood vessel growth through the tumor and a higher rate of metabolism in these cancer cells. So this is able to show the patterns of heat and blood flow near the surface of the body and compare this to the temperature of the breast and temperature in other areas of the body, and also historically look at previous thermography images that you have and see how things have changed over time to see if you're getting better, you're getting worse. And this is actually the most effective when combined with ultrasound. Overlapping these two forms of testing actually has a pretty remarkable level of efficacy. Now, thermography has not been approved as a primary screening tool for breast cancer. It is capable of picking up asymmetric increases in heat in the breast, which could alert a woman to breast cancer years before you would detect it by a normal mammogram though. So there's, different factors to weigh here. And thermography, yes, it's said to be less accurate, and that's part of the reason why it's not officially approved. They're not going to approve this when it's not quite as accurate as a mammogram. But if we look at the study most often referenced for this coming out of Iran, you see that mammograms were said to have accuracy of 76.9% and thermography 69.7%. Okay, so you've got about a 7% difference here, but one can detect perhaps a lot earlier and can also do this without the risks of radiation. But to me, that starts to get pretty interesting, especially when overlapped with the ultrasound to increase the accuracy even further when you're doing those two in conjunction. Now, we do have a couple more options here. We have breast-specific gamma imaging, and this is where you use high-resolution molecular functional imaging, and this uses an injection of a radioactive tracer and a gamma camera, and if there's cancer, the tracer is going to light up and be detected by that camera. And some people can be allergic to this tracer, and I don't think anybody's ever been particularly excited to have something radioactive injected into them, and so you're getting this exposure of radiation in a different way here. And studies do show that you have 90% sensitivity here and that you have 82% specificity in evaluating known cancers. So you get a large number of images from this, and there's a bit of a learning curve involved in interpretation of this imaging. So, this is, it has its upsides and downsides for sure. Then low-dose mammography is another option. Here use single emulsion film and high-definition intensifying screen that is intended to reduce the radiation. And this helps to enhance the contrast of soft tie structures. And this provides clear images, and each breast is compressed once, and the machine is going to take many low-dose X-ray images. And this technology actually lowers the patient's dose of radiation, reduces the compression, which has just got to be one of the worst parts of this whole thing, and the exam time is actually reduced compared to traditional mammograms. And then finally, you have contrast-enhanced digital mammography, and this uses mammography with iodinated IV contrast. So it's iodine as a contrast here instead of some radioactive stuff, right? So that kind of feels a little bit better. And this is designed to make cancers more visible, and it has a higher cancer detection rate compared to traditional mammography. Now, iodine, of course, is not going to be perfect for everybody. If you have kidney issues, or in certain cases with certain thyroid issues, it could be problematic. So that's something, again, like all of these, to talk with your doctor about. I'm just here to provide you educational information so that you can make it a more interesting conversation with your doctor. If you've had any kind of a mammogram, or perhaps one of these other mammogram alternatives, let me know in the comments, please, what your experience has been like. Now, I have to say, I wish that if a doctor is going to talk to you very intensely about mammography, they should be required to spend an equal amount of time with equal passion discussing the benefits of turkey tail mushroom with you in terms of protecting women's health. Now, over here before you go is a video that we made all about the benefits of turkey tail mushroom, and over here is a video that YouTube thinks you might be interested in. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.